Recording in progress.
All right, welcome back to the June meeting of the Hampton Ship Model Society. We're under the show and tell portion. Don Good is going to start us off.
All right, I've got a round stern that I've been working on. It's pretty much all framed, just like the real vessel. I don't know why I do it that way, but it's the first time ever doing a round stern. I think it turned out really good. I'm still starting to add some details. Stern in the picture here. That was a little challenging.
You can move your model, or you feel free to move the camera if you choose.
I'll move the model. I'm afraid I'll. But I did some things I haven't done before, and it turned out. I think it turned out pretty good. Starting to add some small details at this point. I like to detail the house a little bit. So it's I don't know where this is going to end up, but may end up at the museum there in Matthews. I don't know. We'll see. I've still got to do the exhaust and finish rigging it out. Got the hydraulic motor to put on and some other things, but start at my basic weathering. I'm going to make it a whole lot dirtier because I love dirty boats. So anyhow, that's what I have. And that plan was taken from Smith Island Workboats, that book. So I like to work all the plans.
Thanks for bringing it in. Looks good.
All right.
What's the scale?
Half inch.
You about
Very
plan?
nice.
By plan. I took a little bit of detail. I got a buddy that's got a boat up north in Dorchester County. He gives me tips. So the mast and the boom or something he did. Told me to do it this way. That's what he likes. So I said, okay.
I'm sorry I didn't spotlight it earlier. I usually do that, so you get a better view of it.
I like that.
Sorry.
All right. Any other questions?
Can you show the wheelhouse again?
Sure.
Show the wheelhouse and the prop area too.
Okay.
We did before. Now that I have it blown up proper. All right.
I'll probably add a couple of radios in
Nice.
there, antennas. No radar on this one. Guy, he fishes close to home.
Quartermaster's asleep at the wheel here.
And there's the prop. I even got an anode on the rudder. Yeah, you can see that. So the only thing I'm having challenging me is the gear. My soldering skills are terrible at this point.
Do you have any information on the hoist? Patented hoist?
I got one at the museum I'm going to copy. The basket, the fishing gear, and the hoist on my buddy's boat is a little hydraulic piece. It's got two hoses running to it. It controls everything, and he loves it. And then everything else they'll manually swing. Or his father will. He doesn't fish. His dad does.
Do you have a picture of something what the hoist looked like?
You go to a website called, or a Facebook page called Workboats. They have loads of pictures of workboats on there. And I also use a lady at one of the one of the marinas there in Matthews. She's an amateur photographer. She takes really great pictures of workboats. So it's at Horn Harbor, and you can see some of her work at their social media sites. So, anything else? And I'm
Building them like they actually make them. That looks really nice.
well, thank you, because this is only what third or fourth really good one I've put out. So a lot of them, I throw it away. I don't like it. So anyhow, all right.
My wife loves different movies about Julia Childs, and she's famous for saying never apologize. If a meal doesn't come out right, don't apologize. So I think the same thing applies to the models.
Amen.
I want to take some pictures during break.
And also, if anybody ever gets a chance to go to Wheeling, West Virginia, they got some beautiful riverboat models in the Customs House Museum there. So, yeah, because I was big inland port. I didn't know.
Let me make another note. You said Wheeling?
Yeah, Wheeling, West Virginia.
Is that WHEE?
Yes.
Yes.
Back when it used to be part of Virginia.
Customs House?
Yeah, it's the big museum in town. Great riverboat models, right there on the Ohio River.
All right, who's next for the show and tell? All right, Sean.
I'll let Gene go last.
Save the worst for last, is
Something like that.
it?
So this is, I haven't been able to do much work on it since the last time I came 2 months ago. I did manage to finish the deck. I purchased, or my wife let me purchase a tool last month. I bought the Micromart little sander. It's got really small attachments on it that there's some that are angled, so I could get up over the bulwarks and actually sand the deck a lot better. I tried doing it by hand and was not really getting the effect that I wanted. So using that made really quick work of it. I was quite happy with how it came out. So I started doing some of the hatch covers and some of the other fittings that'll go on the deck. My next endeavor is going to be coppering the hull. I noticed in one of the other modeling clubs this month they're bringing in somebody who's going to talk about his methods for coppering the same hull, the siren. And so I'm going to try to see if I can't get some information on that, see how he does it, because the pictures they showed was really nice. So, but coppering is my next effort. But that's where I'm at today.
Have you seen the method put together by the New Jersey club's member Kenny? I forget his last name, but he does a method using copper foil backed by paper, and then you could just glue it with white glue. But it was kind of an interesting process. He did a tabletop demonstration at the Northeast Conference.
No, I'm not familiar with that. Is it
So
on your?
I videotaped his demonstration at the conference. I'll post it on YouTube for you. If you want to reach out, I'll get you the link.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I'm all up for any ideas on how to do it. I made a couple of attempts based on what I've seen others do online, and so far I wasn't happy with the output and ended up tearing it off. The only piece that I managed to keep was the stern post. I did keep that one. It came out okay. But every other attempt along the hull, I didn't like the attempt on it. So, but that's
So his process seemed pretty forgiving, and what was neat was the copper foil tarnished pretty quickly. So if you wanted it to stay bright and shiny, you can immediately clear coat it. But if you wanted to, you could watch it tarnish, and then within a few weeks, if you were happy with it, clear coat it, and then it would stop tarnishing.
that method would be interesting to me because I do want it to tarnish. I don't want it to be quite like a silver, a brand new shiny penny kind of deal. Like you mentioned, I kind of like mine to kind of look like it's had some use. So, yeah, I'd be very interested.
Sure thing.
What changed? Did you change? You didn't like it, Greg, so you changed me out.
I didn't touch anything. Someone started sharing.
I get it. I get what you're trying to tell me.
You were building a transformer. I guess whoever that is going next.
Yeah. Who are we looking at? Oh, this is Mort, I think.
No, it's not mine.
Nope. This is the Florida.
It's Joe Lorenzo's.
Lorenzo.
I'm a victory.
Somebody up north.
Greg,
Yep.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I was trying to bring up the Florida Sharpie in preparation of doing an offline. Let me get out of here and,
No, you're here. You may as well go.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to preempt anybody.
Go apologize. I think Sean was wrapping up anyway.
I was.
We're sorry.
Some of you may recall with Ryland helping me out identify this model that was found in an antique shop. And then Dave Chemlow, have I got his name right? Actually identified it as Chappelle's, one of Chappelle's documentations in the National Watercraft series. And this is about as far as I've gotten so far in restoring it. I've managed to put back most of the rigging, repair most of the broken wooden elements that the glue failed in my repair of the model. Missing are the ship's wheel, which I'm trying to get done in 3D printing. It's a little too complex to do at my stage of capability on a lathe in metal. And I'm working on a case for it. It's tied down here because I showed it at our recent meeting for our group up here in upstate New York. So I thought I'd just show it. It's coming along. It's been a real challenge for a number of reasons because of the lack of rigging documentation on a vessel like this, and I've done quite a bit of research on it. I've even talked to Ruel Parker, who is a Sharpie expert, and he helped me somewhat, but there's still a lot of information missing. For example, there are no pin rails. There are no shear posts on this model and on the real craft. So where do you terminate line? It's been a real interesting research. David Bennett from the North Carolina Maritime Museum has given me some help, and pretty much that's where I'm probably going to end up coiling a lot of the rigging lines. That's probably not, I'm not saying probably, I probably should say, that is not the way this craft would have been rigged in a working scenario. So, but as a display model, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. That's pretty much it. I can stop sharing unless there are questions.
Question. Joe, would there have been cleats on the deck to rig it to, perhaps?
That's because there's no there's no rails. It's a working deck. There are some cleats, but they're out of the way. And any lines that I would terminate towards the rail, I don't know how they get by them in working. This could be used as a dragger, or it could be used as a tonguing vessel, and be with the round stern. That's how they brought their tonguing poles, if you will, around. So anything on the deck, they would trip over. And it's just still a mystery to me for a lot of the termination points. As I had said before, whoever did this model, they did an exquisite job in both the woodworking and the metalworking. And it's been a real challenge trying to put back what was missing. So that's where I am right now. Thought I'd just share it with you.
I'm going to share, unless there are any other questions, I'm going to share one silly picture. That yeah. Oh. No, it's not working, eh? Oh. Doesn't, oh, there we go. My wife and I went to an art show at a old plantation up in Urbana last weekend, and they had this little simple kits for kids to put together and paint up and sail and float in a little pond. It reminded me of what we used to give out at the model shop for the kids. So I mentioned that to her. She thought it was interesting. Told her to send her kids down to the museum at some point for paper monitor models or whatever. Don't float them. Anyway, hopefully we have some future model builders in that group. See if I can undo that. Okay. Who's next with real models?
What is that?
Mind if I squirt in real fast?
Nope.
Oh, do I mind?
Yeah, before the gene bug. I'm not as far along in detail.
We're sorry.
I know. He's sorry a lot. Yeah, that's good. Thanks. A little more topical, I mean, in terms of time relevancy, those of you who might recognize her, that is the RFS Moskva. Used to be known as the Slava until they renamed her. Slava means strong, of course. And what are we saying? Slava Ukraine. Okay. So kind of ironic. The other irony is that this was, of course, built by the Ukrainians in Mykolaiv, which is being shelled, and sitting on the waterfront is the Ukraine, the fourth ship of the class that was never finished. So I guess as reparations, they can always send that hull to the Russians, but they've been negotiating back and forth. I'm intending, I've put her together as solid hull. This is the Trumpeter 1/350th kit. I had it in my stash because I was going to do the Marshal Ustinov, which visited Norfolk in 1989, and I was privileged to go down there and not get on her, but get on the destroyer that was there at the same time. Fortunately, it's not. We don't know a lot about the sinking, obviously, but fortunately, it was somewhat documented by that one photographer who then, if you saw the video online, he kind of got his ass beat. What are you doing taking videos of the ship? So, as a former damage control officer on 2 ships, I have an interest in displaying this at the last moment or near to the last moment. And so that's why I did it as full hull, because I will do it in a styrofoam base in order to get the proper exposure on the hull. The other way to do it would be to slice it properly at the water line. But if you get that wrong, you're done. This way I can sit here and play with it and get just the right presentation angle. As you know from the news, she was hit by 2 cruise missiles. They were Tridents. Is that right? They were Ukrainian copies of the SSN-25, a Soviet copy of the Harpoon. So, and they hit amidships in this area right here. 2 missiles went in, and some people have gone online and digitalized and cleaned up that image where you can see the penetration holes. So my intent is one guy already built a model of it. It's already on the web, and there's no penetration holes. So maybe it sank because it was on fire, model. What we do know it was penetrated by 2 missiles. And by going in there, that's right into the engine room. I also have some damage control plates that I found online years ago when Russia was sharing more online. And so my intent is to open those hulls up and then go in and build the deck detail as I can represent it. Having studied the Stark and a few other of the ships that were hit by cruise missiles and looking at what that damage looks like in terms of how the metals bend and everything else. And so that's my intent. The other thing about the ship is if you look at it's just shocking that all the weapon systems are trained fore and aft like she's in a parade. Not in use. Usually you see a ship that gets hit, the radars are skewed because they were rotating when they lost power. Guns were skewed because they were trying to defend themselves. None of that. But all the boats are gone, all the life rafts are gone, and the crane, which usually sits here between the stacks, is in the raised position as if she had been used to get the boats off. And the helicopter was out of the hangar, at least from what I can tell, because the doors are wide open. So normally you secure those doors. You don't like them flopping around because they're pretty heavy. So that's my intent. But the theory is, one of the working theories that I subscribe to is she had a bank of SSN-12 missiles, 16 in all. Those were liquid fueled, kind of ramjet engines. They were designed to kill carriers. The SSN-19 is the more newer variant of that. That's carried on the submarine that was lost, Kursk. Some of the newer. So the working theory is that one of those missiles may have been ruptured. None of them exploded, or that ship would have just been, litter on the ocean. But one of those missiles leaked, gets into the damage, because you see extensive fire damage that goes all the way back here to this torpedo room door. So that fuel burning would have done a number. And we also know that the Russians are pretty non-proficient in damage control. It's a ship full of conscripts with some officers performing what NCOs would do on a U.S. Navy ship or any Western Navy ship. And so if you don't have, leaders at the deck plate level, you're not going to get on top of that damage. Anyway, that's work in progress. I had it in my stash. And I said, okay, no longer Marshall Ustinov. It is now Moscow. So.
You know offhand about how deep the water is in that area?
I have been in the Black Sea, actually. I've been off of Sevastopol. In that area, I think I read it was like at least 300 feet. The Russians were talking about salvaging it.
Relatively shallow.
And they got a heavy lift ship that might be able to, it's a pre-World War I heavy lift ship that they've got, that might be able to get to it. I think they thought better of it because they were still in missile range. Not the time to do a salvage operation. But yeah, it's deep enough, I think.
I remember reading some article about what ship had the record of being sunk the most times, so they could try and challenge that.
Well, I mean, it's very unfortunate for the crew that was on board. They were not prepared for that, and they were kind of, they thought they had sea control, and they don't. And that's, they may be dominating, but they don't control it.
Look forward to seeing it in your diagram.
Yeah, I'll bring it in when it's done.
Charles, leave it there for just a minute.
Okay?
Turn?
I guess so.
Yes.
My turn? Okay.
Yeah, we're sorry.
I know. Let me move this over there.
Nice. Action shot. She
Oh,
sailed.
that's all right. I can. All right. I brought along my growing collection of small boats for the Olympia. These are about a third of what I need. I've got to make 18 boats of 12 different styles. And here represents from a 32-foot launch to a 26-foot cutter. And they are, as I described last time, made of a cast resin hull. And then I built the interiors with brass, wood, and plastic strips. I do my own photo etching, which are some examples for the 26-foot cutters, which are coming up next. And it'll be another couple of months before I can finish this phase of the boat. I'm really growing tired of making little boats. I guess that's not going to stand on its own, but there they are.
Gene, would you pick one up like you did the first time and show it on the screen and your,
Can you see that?
Yes,
that's good, that's good.
yes. Very nice.
Yeah, I particularly like the way the oarlocks came out. That's brass etched that I do all at home, as were the gratings. I was not
Gratings are
about.
very nice.
Yeah, they're also brass etched.
And Gene, so the seats now, it's like that.
Well, yeah, some of them had slats, some were solid. This being a 30-foot barge, I guess it was a little fancier than most. You know, Admiral would go out on his little jaunts.
And what's that photo etch circle you
This?
Yeah.
Okay, the circles are the mounts for the 1-pounders that they would carry on board. And then the smaller O's, those are the emblems for the ship designation. And here is a fret of oarlocks that was carried on the barge and some of the smaller dinghies.
So they didn't spell out the ship's name, they just put the,
Yeah.
Where is that ship now?
It's in Philadelphia, the Olympia.
I had a visitor at the model stand and had the video playing.
Right.
He said, wait. I don't know how to stop it. He said, that was the Olympia. I said, yeah. He said, I was on it 3 days ago.
Oh, well, then it's still there.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool.
He's making his round of the museums. Play those two places in 3 days.
now, wasn't there a plan to dry dock her soon?
Well, they've been talking about doing that for years. It's desperately in need of something.
John Lehman was working that.
Yeah. I mean, they've got their little portable coffer dam that they just, they're just putting out little fires everywhere, so to speak. But if they don't do it quick, it'll end up like the
United States.
Well, no, what was the one up in
Sullivan's.
Well, the Sullivans, yeah. Yeah, it'll just pop through one day when they're not suspecting. But the hull's got to be paper thin on that thing.
How deep's the water there?
Huh?
How deep's the water there?
Oh, I mean, it's probably almost sitting in the mud now. It's right at the dock.
Oh, video the other day, it's interesting what they did with one of the Japanese battleships. The Mikasa, yeah. They actually have it beside the water, but it's concreted. The whole hull is encased in concrete. And up against the dock, so it looks like it's just dock, but it's not. It's actually.
Well, they could drag it up on land like, what's that destroyer?
Yes. Yeah.
Kid.
Up on,
Kids in
Yeah,
a
that's kind of
floating.
an interesting way to do it.
That's probably even worse because they get it wet and dry.
No, it's designed to stay dry, but it's also designed for floods in the Mississippi. If you remember, there was a Russian submarine, it was the one they used for the movie K-19. It was a cruise missile firing SS. So it was an SSG. And it ended up in Providence, Rhode Island. It had been towed up and down the East Coast and around Europe to make it a restaurant and an attraction. And the team that wanted to bring the Saratoga or the Forrestal to Providence hired it so they could use it to raise revenue. And during one of the main tidal events, storm surge events, they didn't slack the cabling, the shoreline. steel cabling. So as they got this abnormal storm surge, submarine started rotating and they had cut into the pressure hull to, provide access. And so you ended up with water in the people space. And she sat on the bottom for, I think, 3 years before the U.S. Navy, as a salvage training exercise, raised her instructor.
Oh, I forgot, I do have one question. I posed this question to John about oar lengths on boats. If anyone online or here has any insight as to the length of an oar relative to the length of the boat it's on? Is there a formula?
I think Bob Comet presented something about that. I don't know if we have that on our website or not.
All right, well, okay, well then I'll just.
Oh, I didn't know I was
John
sharing.
suggested.
I have a book that I got at the.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, a book I got in Connecticut.
Yeah.
On whaleboats.
Yeah.
And let me see if there's anything.
I do have some whaleboats to make for it, but obviously not all the boats had the same length of oar. I've got 100,000 of them to make, so.
I remember that program, he was making them from bamboo, the Navy oars.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? It's either or. It's either or.
Oh,
That's my contribution, thank you, Ed.
I appreciate that.
Noted.
I like a good pun.
But what is the sub that's down in Charleston? Isn't there one down there?
Yes.
A Russian sub?
No, it's a
Hunley.
US, so it's USS Climate War.
Oh, I thought there was.
No, it was a W-2 conversion of a World War II.
Oh, is it? Okay.
The only other Russian submarine the only Russian submarine left in the United States is the Foxtrot.
Is that one in Chicago?
No, that's the U.
Oh, okay.
That one that's an amazing museum. I went there about 5 years ago.
Isn't there a Russian submarine at Queen Mary?
I know the one in San Diego. I don't know one in.
I think the one in San Diego was
San
the one
Pedro.
at the Queen Mary. I think it's the same song.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah.
got moved.
I think so. I thought I read something that it was gonna be scrapped now.
I'll tell you, having gone in both those submarines, a U.S. World War II fleet boat, which was built 20 years earlier, was far more commodious than this. Those ships were awful. I mean, all those boats were awful.
Is there any other? I was about to ask, but I guess it was the tell portion as opposed to the show portion. Which is fine with me. But is there anything else to show, or are we going to continue to tell? Or we wrap this up and take a 5-minute break before our presentation? All right, I think we are wrapping it up. We're going to give everyone a 5-minute bio break, as my boss likes to call it. Bio. And then we'll come back.
Sure.